Power Pit podcast. My name's Tyler, and today I've got Lisa on here as a guest. She has been a personal trainer here in Saskatoon for the last 5 years, and she is a busy mom that juggles her career with also raising her 1-year-old daughter. With that, welcome, Lisa. We're excited to have you on the podcast today.
Hey Tyler, excited to be here today.
Awesome. So, you haven't always been in the fitness industry, and I want to talk to you a little bit about how did you get started and where did your journey start when it came to that?
You bet. So, yeah, like you said, I haven't always been in the fitness industry. Before working in fitness, I actually was in healthcare, which, I mean, it was a great career, but long term, I knew it just wasn't going to be for me. I was working there and I was really tired of seeing people in their worst days, and I felt like there was some way that I had to start helping these people so that they could live a more vibrant lifestyle. Um so I guess at the time when I started my own fitness journey, I was I was in a really negative relationship at that time. Things were not going well, and I needed an outlet for myself. I needed to get out and see different people. I had to get out a lot of the energy that I had that I was holding on to. And so I decided, you know what, let's get a gym membership. Let's try and build some confidence. At the time, everybody kept saying, you like to do sports when you were growing up. Why don't you just start working out? And I thought, right, like this is going to help my situation. But little did I know, once I started going to the gym, I also found a trainer who helped me to gain my confidence back and to remind me that I was worthy of all the love in the world.
Absolutely. I think that's really powerful is, really identifying, where you were and then where you needed to go. But I think a lot of people can relate to that, right? Like they can relate to that feeling lost, feeling in a rough relationship and then going to the gym. Because being in the industry, I've experienced that quite a bit with people who that's kind of where they start and they don't like the reasons people start can be varied, right? But ultimately it's getting in and it's doing those things to make that change and changing your life. So tell us a little bit more about that. So you got into the gym, you got a trainer. What originally, where did you start?
Yeah, so when I started, I remember going to the gym and I would set up on the elliptical and I would do that. And I would just go on the elliptical and do it for half an hour, thinking, I'm going to lose weight somehow. It's going to feel so much better. And I kept looking at the weights across the room and I'd say, I can't do that. I can't do that. And then thankfully, this trainer was working with me and he turned my can'ts into I cans. He actually gave me heck every time I said I couldn't.
Yeah.
And thank God for him because he really did show me what I was capable of. And, within a year working with him, I went from walking on that elliptical every day to lifting close to 250 pounds in a deadlift. And my mindset completely changed about how I cared about myself and what I was willing to put myself through day to day in my own relationship, to the point that I was strong enough to get rid of that relationship, throw it aside, and put myself first. And in that, I also started to get, that inkling of interest into what if I could do this for somebody else? You know, I was getting stronger and I thought there's so many other women out there that need that person to walk alongside them. So, fast forward a few years, I was in a very healthy relationship now, and my partner knew that I was not liking my job. I mean, I would wake up every morning and I would have a panic attack before I went to work. This was right before COVID. Our healthcare system was a little crazy. And he said, why don't you change jobs? And I said, but what? And he said, well, you like fitness, you like working out. Why don't you take your personal training course? And I laughed again and I said, are you serious? But I decided to take the course and got the job and started changing people's lives just like my life had been changed a few years prior. And Like, it was just the most amazing feeling.
Absolutely. That sounds really awesome. And it sounds like, yeah, that you had, by coming into the gym and working out and taking care of yourself, you're able to put yourself into these positions to make some changes and to have that support, going from that lack of support to then finding that support from a trainer, but then also getting into a healthy relationship and finding that support with your fiance, Justin, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love hearing about that. And let's, while we're on the topic of family, let's talk
Yeah.
a little bit because you have a daughter, right?
Yes, so I have a 1 year old, Everly, who is obviously the light of my life. The hardest thing, but also the most fulfilling thing that I've ever done in my entire life. Um, and really, when it comes down to it, the reason why I keep going now is because of her. I mean, it sounds cliche, but honestly, being a mom changed my life. Now, being a trainer too, I look at how can I work the things that I teach women now, how can I work that into her life as she grows up? And really, there's so many ways that I want her to be involved in my job. You know, my personal training studio is in the basement of our home. So I love bringing her downstairs and letting her see me be this strong woman that I've built. I haven't always been there, but I want her to know that your story doesn't have to stay the same and be stagnant forever. You can be one thing when you're a kid or when you're in high school or in your early 20s, and that doesn't mean that's the person that you're always going to be when you're a mom, when you're a grandma, when you change careers 3 times in the course of a couple of years. That's okay. So, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah, and I think that's really important is role modeling that family fitness
Well,
for the younger generation. That it doesn't have to be a chore because I know, well, even like you had said today, where it was like not working out, how is that going to help my situation,
yeah,
right? To where it's like just automatic, being able to teach our children that it's like no, like taking care of your mind, taking care of your body is just as important as everything else, and in fact, probably more important than a lot of the other things that we stress in society. It's like we need to take care of ourselves first so that we can give the most to others as well.
for sure. And that's honestly, that's one of the things that I work with my clients the most with is sure, I help teach them how they should move their body and how they should eat better. But in the long run, it's all about changing the mindset, changing your story. You know, it can be really easy to think, well, this is just my life. This is who I am. But instead, it's like, okay, just like I changed my cants into cans, now, you know, change your view. Do you have to always just be this busy mom who doesn't have time for herself? No. How can I meet you where you're at currently so that we can move you forward into the person that you hope to be one day? And that's honestly, I think I get through to my clients the best when we're talking about changing the mindset because they realize that oh, it doesn't have to be the way that I've always thought it has to be. All of a sudden you see their gears turning in their head and they're like, "Oh, so I don't have to work out for an entire hour straight. I don't have to do that one movement that I absolutely hate. Oh, now I get it." Right? It can actually be enjoyable.
Absolutely, and I think that's really important, and I love that. It's you had said how you had a trainer that helped you switch that mindset. What were some things that helped you change your mindset so that it that turned it into the I can that either you did or that he supported you in?
Honestly, I think the biggest thing was being challenged. I needed someone to challenge those thoughts because at the time I wasn't strong enough to challenge those thoughts myself. Um, so having someone say, "Just do it, just one more," throw the weight in front of me and tell me, like, you could do it with lighter weight. Now let's give it a shot. You know, that was a big thing with changing my own mindset was being challenged. Um, Also, just as I continued being consistent with it, my mindset changed it as well. Because the more I showed up, the more I realized how it wasn't that scary. You know,
Yeah.
the first while when I started working out, I remember sitting out in my car. I would show up like half an hour early for a session, and I would go, "Oh, do I really want to go in there today? What if so and so's there? What if they see me looking like this? What if I get breathless? What if I get red?" And then all of a sudden those what ifs change to, well, maybe today I'll be lifting deadlifts, which is my favorite lift, by the way.
Nice. I was gonna ask that. I love deadlifts
Yeah.
too.
Like maybe today we'll add an extra 5 pounds. Maybe today I'll run just a little bit faster. Maybe today, like my trainer will point out that I've lost inches in my waist or gained inches on my bicep, and like he'll notice the way that I'm standing more proud of myself. And so it was really interesting to see that mindset
Yeah.
change over time.
Absolutely, that positive reinforcement and encouragement, and you said challenging, which it is part of it, but it's just
Yeah.
it's building up too, right? And yeah, so that's really great. So how do you take that, like what you experienced there? Because I know there are a lot of people that feel that same way, that they're sitting in their car and they never make it into the gym,
Mm-hmm.
or they're sitting in their car and they talk themselves out, or maybe they do get in and they're on the treadmill, which is great because at least they're doing those
They're
steps
starting.
forward. But like, how do you help empower your clients to get to that next step so they can feel like you did at that point?
Honestly, the most important thing for me with my clients is reminding them that we've all been there.
Yeah.
So I guess when I start with my clients, I really want to build good rapport. So I want to learn as much about that client as possible when we start working together, whether it's, their family life, whether it's their childhood. I want to know as much about you as possible and learn about what really makes you tick. Because until I figure out what makes you you, it's really hard to move forward from that. So I guess really my biggest thing to help people with their change is just treating them as a person, making sure that they know that we've all been there and that we can all move forward.
Awesome. Yeah, just meeting them where they're at.
Yeah. That's that's really, I guess, the biggest thing. I know one of my clients just recently said to me, "Lisa, I love that you don't push me in a way that makes me want to run away. Instead, you push me in a way that makes me want to run towards you and that makes me want to try harder and be better for myself and my life."
It sounds like you put the personal in personal training.
100%.
Right? And I think that's important because I think that's something that a lot of times um, some people forget about is it
Mm-hmm.
becomes just a business and it becomes just a career or a job, and they forget that it's that personal aspect and it's building those relationships that helps people get to their goals. Because I know that you have a passion and a fire for helping people, and that's the same thing that drives me with my clients. I want to see them succeed,
Mm-hmm.
not because it's about a paycheck or not because it's anything like that. It's
Mm-hmm.
because I legitimately have felt and been in situations that you've described already
Yeah,
that I want other people to come out of, or see that there's hope on the other side, or see that they can be empowered and they don't have to be stuck, that they really can change their story and
for sure.
become the person that they always wanted to be.
For sure. And one thing that I see is I'm really proud of a client when they come to me at first with goals of losing X amount of weight or looking a certain way. And then all of a sudden, I see that change and I see them go, "No, instead, I want to be able to do this."
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I want to go and do a hike in this beautiful destination. Or maybe I'm going on a trip and there's some adventuring that I'd like to do. Or hey, I just want to be able to keep up with my grandson when they come to visit. I had a client once that told me she just wants to be able to sit down on the floor with her grandchildren, color, and then be able to get up by herself. It sounds like the tiniest little things, but these are the things that really are so important for our lives. Like, how can you live the most vibrant life that is already there waiting for you? But how can you make it happen so that you feel proud of yourself? Not just me. If I feel proud of you, oh, that's great. Good. I love being proud of you. But like, to be completely honest, I'm proud of you no matter what you're doing. As long as you're showing up, I'm pumped.
Yeah.
But I want you to see that spark when you can finally do what you've wanted all your life.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think that's really powerful is, being that mentor for someone, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, they're the heroes of their own journey. They've got to
Correct.
put in the work. They've got to do it. We're just there to help support and lead them and guide them
Okay.
and ultimately teach them so that
Oh,
they
for
can
sure.
do it on their own. That's awesome.
Yeah, like I often say, I'm with you this 1 hour a day, however many times a week you're coming to me, but there's 24 hours in a day.
Hmm.
So, what are you going to do with those other hours that I'm not there? How are you going to keep this moving? And when people hear that, they usually go, "Huh, I never thought about it that way." Like, this really is on me.
Yeah,
And I'm there to support you, but it's on you. So,
absolutely. So it sounds like you really help them create a lifestyle
yeah,
that can be sustainable.
lifestyle, healthy habits.
Yep.
I'm big on let's track all the wins. Let's track how many times did you get out for a walk this week?
Yep.
When did you make that healthy choice at the restaurant versus picking the biggest deep fried option that you
Yeah.
could have? Like, I'm all about every little win is still a win.
Yeah. Absolutely. So I want to talk a little bit more about that lifestyle, but I want to talk
Yeah,
about you a little bit more.
yeah,
So
for sure.
how do you juggle being a busy mom with having a 1-year-old daughter at home?
Sometimes very difficultly. I'm not going to deny that. It's a juggling act, really. When you say it that way, that's the perfect way to put it. Um, how do I juggle it? Giving myself grace, and
Hmm.
in the beginning, I struggled with that. I thought that I had to do it all the time. And in the end, that really just brought me to burnout.
Yep.
So even this past year, I've had to learn that sometimes it's okay to like half do some things.
Hmm.
Um,
Half doing something is better than
is
doing
still,
nothing, right?
and that's what I say is something is better than nothing, and sometimes something is better than everything. So you just kind of gotta make it work. So right now, I guess I focus on the healthy the healthy meals for my family.
Hmm.
I make sure that we're at least getting good nutrition every day. And then as far as movement for myself, I do just what I would tell my clients. I say start somewhere. So I walk my daughter to daycare every single day. I walk her there, I walk her home. I'm very lucky, obviously, that I have a daycare within walking distance. But I also then, when I can, I get my workout in, and I focus on resistance training. So I'm gonna do the movements that are gonna get me the most bang for my buck,
Hmm.
and that I can fit into whatever time I have. So if I have half an hour, you're probably gonna see me doing some squats, some
Hmm.
deadlifts, and some sort of exercise for my back. Other than that, I don't stick in all those fancy little movements that you're going to see on Instagram and TikTok and all that.
Yep.
Guys, I guess this is totally off topic, but the number of times that I've seen like all these fancy movements on Instagram and TikTok, and I'm thinking, yeah, but who has time for that?
Hmm.
Not many people. Let's be realistic here and let's do movements that are actually worth it. That,
Yep.
like, nobody needs to do 1,000 sit-ups in a day. Nobody has to do some fancy jumping exercise. Just do a squat. Guess what? In 20 years from now, you're still going to have to do a squat. Because I'm assuming that everybody wants to be able to go to the washroom in 20 years by themselves.
Yeah.
And that's like really the long and short of it. When I work out, I think of what am I doing in my day
Hmm.
and how can I make sure that those things stay as easy as they are right now. And I go from there. So I know I'm going to pick up my daughter about 17,000 times in a day.
Okay.
So I'm going to do movements that are going to help me do that
Yeah.
and to help me be the best mom for her.
Yeah, I think that's really important when we're looking at lifestyle clients is like
Yeah,
what's going to make your life easier and just keep it simple. Even as you progress and get better, it's still about keeping it simple and then doing the basics at a high level.
exactly.
Because then you can keep progressing, you can keep going. If those other things interest you and you have time, great. But I do know for myself, and I'm sure you've experienced this talking to clients, where there's just so much guilt that it's like, well, I should be doing the cardio, and I should be doing these glute exercises, and I should be doing these
For
pressing
sure.
movements, and I should be doing this other, like playing a sport, and they're trying to fit all of this in the day. When it's like running after a 1 year old or 2 year old,
Mm-hmm.
like you guys, your
It's a
kids start
lot
to
of
grow,
work.
it's a lot of work. Right? So it's like if you can fit things in to your regular day, is going to be so much more beneficial than overwhelming yourself and getting burnt out. So when it comes to someone, if you had that mother sitting down in front of
Yeah.
you who was saying she's burnt out, what are the first things you would tackle with her?
So the first thing I tackle with a mom that's burnt out is I say like, are you getting sleep?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Great. No. How can we get more sleep? If she's not in the newborn stage where they're waking up every couple of hours, how can we just improve that sleep? You know, going to bed at the same time every day, waking up at the same time every day. That's kind of where we start. And
Mm-hmm.
then I work on a little bit of, you know, do you have something that helps you relax? Do you like to read? Do you like to meditate? Do you like to listen to your favorite music before bed? Okay, so once we get to sleep, I look at what are you eating in a day? How can we just improve that the tiniest bit? You said the keep it simple kind of thing. And it's so true because it's, even for nutrition, your meals don't have to be all crazy, like fancy looking with 17 different ingredients.
Mm-hmm.
Pick a couple options that you actually enjoy. Do you like chicken? Eat chicken. Make it your favorite way. Do you like sweet potatoes? I do. So incorporate them into as many meals as you want to in a week. Variety, yeah, it's the spice of life, but also it can be really confusing when you add in too much variety. But so then we would talk about the nutrition and we would say, what's one thing you can do better today than you did yesterday? And then once she understands that, we start getting into the movement. And I say, how many minutes a day do you think you can put in? My most recent client, she said to me, other than your sessions where I'm coming to you for an hour, I can put in 10 minutes a day. And I said, okay, let's start there.
Yep.
So I gave her 2 movements to do every day, alternating the movements, and we start there. And you know what? In 6 months from now, I'm hoping that she'll maybe come to me and say, hey, I can do 20 minutes now. And then we'll go from there. So it's very incremental. It's not all at once. Don't be scared of starting just because you're scared of the entire bucket being dumped on you in one day.
Yeah.
We're going to take out one block at a time.
And that's hard though.
Yeah.
Right? Because I know myself how many times when I'm at it, it's like, oh, I'm going to, do X, do Y, do Z, and I'm going to do it all at once, and then I get so overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And that's common with clients too. They come in and we always bite off more than we can chew because we're so motivated, but that motivation doesn't stay.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's the thing that we have to realize. And that's where I see when clients start to get tired, or even if they're not clients yet, is they want to do it fast. And I wish if there was something where it's like, I could really get through to people is that it's a slow and steady. You didn't get here overnight. One meal's not going to ruin it. One workout because it's half an hour instead of an hour isn't going to derail you.
No.
It's the consistency that falls in, and it's taking it off piece by piece and building it incrementally, just like you said,
Mhm.
so that we ultimately get to building the person that you ultimately want to be.
For sure. And like you said that it doesn't all happen in one night. And you said that the motivation always doesn't stick. And some people ask me, well, how do you stay so motivated? And I don't. Honestly, like, if I'm going to be really honest, it might sound like wrong for me to say that, but no, every day I'm not motivated. And to be honest, the motivation that I'm working with changes as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, back when I started fitness, my motivation was that I had to look good because I was in this negative relationship and I wanted to have a better one day. So I wanted to look good for my future, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now it's like, no, my motivation is to be healthy so that I'm there forever for my daughter or for as long as I'm able to be. And my motivation has changed, but it's not always there. Just because
Yeah.
she's always there doesn't mean I'm always motivated. Their motivation can be fleeting,
Mm-hmm.
and it's more about dedication and discipline.
Yep.
I Again, on social media, you're always going to see these, oh, motivation this, motivation that. But really, it's, are you dedicated? And can you discipline yourself? Some people, it's really difficult. And that's where we as personal trainers come in, and we can help keep them disciplined and on the right path. But most people, you just gotta write it down and say, you know what, I'm doing it. Put it in your calendar, write it in pen rather than pencil. Don't make it able to be erased and changed.
Yeah.
Just put it there and stick to the dang goal, right? And, one day by one day, you're gonna figure it out. And like you say, it doesn't happen overnight. And that wedding you're going to on Saturday isn't going to isn't going to derail everything. So just think about, okay, what can I do today that's going to make it better for tomorrow? One thing.
Again, keeping it simple, right?
Yes.
Focusing on that one thing
Common
and moving it forward.
common theme here. Let's keep
Exactly.
it simple.
Absolutely. I did want to jump on something you said. You said, like,
Yeah.
when you started,
Yeah.
it was about looking good.
Yeah.
And then you were like, but now it's more about feeling good,
Yes.
right? And being
Look
able
good,
to do
feel
the things
good.
you want to do, right? And I find sometimes it's taboo to talk about how we look
Yeah.
and how, right, like, it's like fitness industry in a lot of areas has shifted away from that, and
Good.
it's you shouldn't talk about how you look, and you should stay away from that. I even know coaches who are like, I don't deal with weight loss clients, or I don't deal with aesthetic clients. There's nothing wrong with someone
No.
if that's the niche that they want to go in, but I also want to just talk about the importance of recognizing that that was where your journey started,
Yeah.
but that wasn't where it ended, right? Like, you
No.
had that growth mindset that moved.
Yeah, and because I had the growth mindset that all of a sudden changed to I want to feel good, now it's like, oh, I actually love how I look
Mm-hmm.
because I feel good. Truth be told, I mean, I'm what, a year postpartum?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm bigger than I was 5 years ago. And that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel so good. I am energetic. I am happy. There is nothing missing from my life right now. And honestly, I think I owe a lot of that to starting my fitness journey 5 years ago. Well, I started my fitness journey like 10 years ago. Started training people 5
Yes.
years ago. Um, but I would say that I owe a lot of that to starting my fitness journey because now I'm able to see the change that's happened in my life and see the good for what it is.
Yep.
Like I when I look at where I was back then, I never thought that I would just get to a point where I was comfortable in my own skin.
Right.
And now, as a trainer, I make sure that all of my clients know that that's normal. If somebody comes to me and says they want to lose 50 pounds, great. We can work towards that goal. But in the back of my mind, I'm always guessing that before they lose that 50 pounds, they're going to be like, I'm really happy. And that's when I love seeing the change in a client. Because when you tell me you're happy, no matter what your body is, that's what I'm looking for.
Awesome. That
Yeah.
that is amazing, and that's what I love to hear, right? When
Yeah.
it comes from a coach, and even myself, that's what I like to strive for with my clients. So, if you right now, to our listeners, if we had you had someone sitting in front, I know I talked about the burnt out mom, but this doesn't have to be the burnt out
Yeah,
mom.
yeah.
This can be anyone who is like, I want to start, but I don't know how. I'm sitting in my car right now, and I can't put one foot in front of the other to come in. What's the advice that you would give them?
The biggest thing is just sit down, breathe, put your ego aside, ask for help. Ask. You might not know what the first step is right now, but somebody else will be able to direct you in that on that path. If you come to me today, tomorrow, next week, next month, I'm going to tell you the same thing. Let's just go one step at a time. Let's take it from here.
One step at a time.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, if our followers and listeners want to find you,
Yep.
where can they find you online?
There's a few places. You can either go on Facebook to Lisa Kramer Personal Training, or you can go on Instagram to lisakramer.personaltraining, or you can email me at lisakramer, P as in Peter, T as in Tom, @gmail.com.
Awesome. So yeah, if you guys are looking to have a personal trainer in your corner who's awesome and amazing, I highly recommend Lisa. All of her information will be in the notes below, so you can check it out there. And if you want to follow and subscribe, we would love that. Please support us. We want to keep bringing great guests on like Lisa here today. So thank you so much for your time today, Lisa.
You bet. This was awesome.
Awesome.